Hey folks, Tyler here with Seaway Whisky Wire. Well guys, the team over at Bridgeland Distilleries in Calgary were nice enough to send me over 2 bottles for review, and I am beyond excited to get into these 2 expressions and give you guys my first impressions of this truly craft distillery here in Canada. So go watch the intro, come on back, and we'll crack these bottles together. Stick around, guys. Well, hey guys, thanks for coming back after the intro. I'm Tyler, and like I said in the opening, the team over at Bridgeland Distilleries in Calgary were nice enough to send me over 2 bottles to the channel for review, and I am beyond excited to get into these and give you guys my first impressions of them. I love Canadian products, especially craft presented Canadian products, especially some Canadian distilleries that are exploring different avenues and exploring some Canadian single malt too. So we'll get into what they sent me over real quick. So number 1 is the Glenbow whiskey, which is a Canadian single malt, and the second one they sent me is the Taber Born Bourbon Whiskey 101. We'll get into the spelling and rationale behind that in a minute. But before we do, I just want to give you guys a quick background on Bridgeland and how they were founded, and then we'll get into the expressions that they sent over. So the Bridgeland Distillery is a Calgary-based distillery that was founded in early 2019, and the founders shared a passion for craft, spirit production, and dedication to quality, which led them to open Bridgeland in Calgary's Bridgeland Riverside neighborhood. And Bridgeland focuses on using locally sourced grains like Taber corn and barley, oats, and rye from local farms, which allows the product to highlight Alberta's distinctive terroir. And these guys are almost following the path of a lot of Scotch whiskey makers, and really trying to keep everything kind of controlled and within their area. And you know what, for a Canadian distillery, presenting it that way and presenting it craft like they do, I am super excited and was really glad that when I reached out to these guys, they were gracious enough to send me over these bottles for review. So let me tell you a little bit about the 2 expressions that they sent over the channel. So first we've got the Glenbow whiskey, which is a Canadian single malt, coming with 47.1% ABV, all natural, non-chill filtered, no color added, states it right in the packaging, 100% Penhold Rocky Mountain malt, distilled twice in their stills, and matured in new and American oak casks. And they give you guys a ton of information on their packaging, guys. I mean, right here, truly unique. It mentions where the barley was grown. It gives you the coordinates of the field that they used to farm the barley, and it also gives you the locally sourced water source that they use to put into the whiskey. So a whole new level of transparency, and I'm so excited that a Canadian distillery is doing this now, and I hope other Canadian distilleries really follow suit on Bridgeland's example that they're setting here. And the second one we got over here is the Taber Born Bourbon. You'll see that bourbon is spelled in a weird way there with an E. Obviously it's Canadian product, so we can't officially call it bourbon. But anyways, it's Taber Born Bourbon Whiskey 101. So it comes in at 50%, 50.5% ABV or 101 proof, and it's all natural, non-chill filtered, no color added, and it comes in with a base of 60% Taber corn, 32% barley, and 8% wheat, distilled twice and matured in new American oak casks and charred number 4 casks. And it's a bourbon style whiskey. So it is a bourbon. It basically has the same makeup as a bourbon, but because it's Canadian product, we can't call it a bourbon. So they've got a kind of a funny little spelling to it there. But you know what? I appreciate them doing that, and I appreciate them selling it like it's a bourbon, and it's a bourbon style whiskey, and using Taber corn, which is from out west there in the Calgary region. Just tons of information on the packaging here, and I really appreciate their transparency. And anything you could want is on there. Again, where did they grow the grains? Where did the water source come from? Natural produced product and naturally presented product. Non-chill filtered, no color added. It tells you a little bit about the distillery. They've got this Alberta Best Distillery or Alberta Distillery of the Year sticker on it here. Just very well presented. And I mean, not that I'm going to get into a whole presentation piece and all that, but I mean, look at these bottles. They're just great. They're smaller bottles. They're half liter or 500 mils, but I just love them. They have this little wraparound label here, and it just really, really nice. But you know what? I'm obviously very excited to get into these bottles. So let's dive into them here, and you're going to see me crack them open here. It's probably through the magic of editing. You're not going to see me struggle with the bottles, because that would just take too much time. So I am going to crack these bottles. Actually, maybe I'll be okay. All right, let's crack the Glenbow whiskey here. Nice cork pop on there. And we'll pour that out. Gonna let that hang out for a minute here. And then I'm gonna crack into this Taber Born Bourbon whiskey. I think it should be noted right now, guys, the packaging too. Like, kudos to them for. Usually I have to do this off camera, or I have to edit this out, and I'm not going to edit it out because I didn't struggle too much with the packaging to get it open. Nice cork pop on the Taber Born Bourbon. We'll pour that. All right. So yeah, guys, my first impressions on the two expressions here from Bridgeland. Let's get into the Glenbow, and let's take a look at the color for starters here. So it's naturally presented. I'm gonna go in. We're gonna go in close and look at it here, guys. Look at that nice amber color to it there. Canadian single malt, so 100% malted barley, penhold Rocky Mountain barley, a malt, and twice distilled at Bridgeland. Very nice. Let's go into the nose and see what we can get out of the Glenbow. Wow. Very, very vibrant nose. 47.1%. It's not singeing my nose hairs or nothing like that. Very fruity, very orange, apples, honey, toffee. A little bit of apricot in there. Some nice vanilla notes. Yeah, very nice. It's nice cereal, grain. Yeah, very nice, very vibrant. So maybe even some red berries in there, maybe some like raisins and whatnot. But very much heavy with that orange, apples, honey, toffee, vanilla, and then a little bit of sweet fruits there at the end. Very nice nose. All right, let's get into the palate. Look at the legs on that too. Very nice. Let's get into the palate on the Glenbow from Bridgeland and see what we can get out of that. So, cheers to your health, and let's get into it. Wow, very Scotch-like, very soft spirit, and obviously driven from that penhold Rocky Mountain barley. Definitely getting some oranges, a little bit of lemon citrus in there too, maybe more lemon peels than the very vibrant orange. There's some apple in there, some floral honey. There's some vanilla, quite a bit of vanilla in there. Going for one more sip. It's very mouth coating. A little bit of spice at the end there. Really cinnamon, clove, maybe a little bit of nutmeg too. Some kind of cereal notes in there, maybe a little bit of apricot. But it's a pretty medium length to it too. And just very, very nice. Yeah. Starts off with those nice fresh fruit notes, kind of into this cereal, a little bit of maltiness to it, and then into this nice and not too punchy spice at the end there. Very nice indeed. Wow, it was definitely worth waiting here. I'm super stoked to get a little bit more trip down with the Glenbow. But you know what? Let's get into the Taber Born Bourbon with an E Whiskey 101 and see what we can get out of this. Just a reminder, it comes in at 50.5% ABV or 101 proof, and the mash bill for this particular release is 60% Taber corn, 32% barley, and 8% wheat, and distilled twice and matured in New American oak and charred number 4 oak casks. So let's get into the nose. Actually, let's go in for the color there. You can see it's much more darker than the Glenbow, and really probably imparted more from those number 4 charred and the New American oak casks. I don't know what the makeup is or what the percentage used, but yeah, definitely imparted some more color into there for sure. All right, let's get on the nose of the Taber Born Bourbon Whiskey 101, whiskey without the E as well. Yep, very bourbon-like. vanilla, caramel, like deep caramel notes, toffee, apple, like fresh red apples, maybe like an apple cider as well. I get a little bit of orange on there, not a whole lot. It's really mainly just that vanilla, toffee, honey, regular everyday bourbon notes. Let's get into the palate and see what we can get out of the Taber Born Bourbon Whiskey 101. So, cheers to your health, and number 2 from a great Canadian craft distillery. Mouth coating, lots of flavor, very vibrant palate. The palate, I think, is stronger than the nose. I'm definitely getting those big vanillas, caramels, honey, toffee notes. But then you can pull out orange zest. I can pull out a little bit of lemon peel. I've got some apple on there too. It is more of an apple cider, like kind of like that full kind of apple note to it there. There's a little bit of red fruit on there. I mean, more cherry, I guess, would be kind of closer to it there. The back end, you get this little bit of bitterness, almost like a dark chocolate. I would even almost kind of go into the maybe not the tobacco range there, but it definitely in that dark chocolate, bittersweet. Dark chocolate with like a high cocoa content and low sugar content. It's not overly sweet. It's and then it has this nice kind of finish to it. The finish is bourbon-esque, but not. I think the wheat really plays a role in there. It's not abrasive or it's not hot in any way. It's very very tame or very gentle spirit. I'm really enjoying it. It kind of reminds me of Maker's Mark with the volume turned up. And I mean, I don't know if that's what they were going for in this particular mash bill here, but it definitely is not abrasive or have anything offensive to it. Even at that 50.5% ABV or 101 proof that they've got here, it's a very mellow, very soft, very gentle, but very very vibrant and very very flavorful dram. Very nice indeed. Gonna go for one more sip. Just such a nice dram. Yeah. Wow. If this is the kind of stuff coming out of this distillery, everyone needs to be taking note, and distilleries that are around there really need to take notice of what they're doing from a marketing and a transparency avenue. I think that's very, very good of them to come out and say, be as transparent, upfront, and honest with the consumer as possible. Great to see them producing a Canadian single malt. I'm really hoping to see more and more Canadian distilleries turn that on here in the future. Up until this particular expression that I've just tried here now, I've only had a couple of single malts from Canada, and I can tell you this is on par with them, if not exceeding them. Did they exceed my expectations? I mean, I expected great things from both expressions from this craft distillery. I can definitely say that it is a true craft distillery, and I am very pleased with both expressions. Again, this is my first impressions with both expressions. I'm going to do a formal review on both of them. They both deserve it outright. Hopefully, they're smaller bottles and they'll hang around long enough to have a formal review, and my friends aren't going to tear into these bottles and want to try them all. But I'm definitely going to be sharing them with friends because rightfully so. This is Canada. This is a great Canadian distillery, and it needs to be shared and appreciated with friends, and especially with Canadian friends. And I mean, honestly, I put this with any of my American friends too. I would put this up against some of my scotches. I think this is a great one. In a blind taste off, I don't think you'd be able to tell the difference between this Canadian bourbon release and a regular American bourbon release. I think it's just great, and they're doing some great things there. I'm going to go in for one more sip of the Glenbow because they're both fantastic, but I want to go for one more sip of this truly craft Canadian single malt. Wonderful. It's not a shootout video, guys. I'm not gonna give you my favorite. They're both fantastic. You should probably go out and check out the guys over at Bridgeland. Check out their website. If you're in the area of Calgary there and you're lucky enough to be out in that range, go out and see these guys. You know, they're doing some fantastic stuff, and I can't wait to try some more stuff and see what they've got in the future, because the future looks very, very bright indeed. So yeah, I'll leave you with that. If you like what we're doing here at Seaway Whisky Wire, you guys know the drill. Like and subscribe down below. Check me out on Instagram at Seaway Whisky Wire. And hey, don't forget to check out Bridgeland on Instagram as well. They put out some great stuff, cocktail related. They do some brandy. They do some other spirits as well. Very, very, very awesome, awesome group, and a very, very, very great distillery. So yeah, if you're still watching at this point, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I love making these videos for you. I love, you know, coming down the basement and trying some great Canadian products here. Some Canadian single malt, some Canadian bourbon. Hey, it's pretty cool. I really enjoy it, and especially from a great distillery like Bridgeland. So I am gonna go with. I'm gonna grab the Glenbow, and I'm gonna see you guys off with that. So, all the best, guys. Take care. See you around. And go and try some great Canadian single malt. Be glad you did. Cheers.